Hello everyone, Monisha here. This is the continuation of Control and Coordination chapter, the second part. Here I will be explaining about human brain, different parts of human brain and how our human brain makes decisions, the two types of nervous system, then how this tissue, this is a mass of tissue, that is the brain is protected, and how the nervous tissue cause action. So these are the topics going to discuss in this session. Let us start. Let us know about the nervous system. There are basically two types of nervous system, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. First we shall know about central nervous system. It is considered as the body's master control unit, which has three basic units in it. One is spinal cord, next brainstem and brain. Spinal cord, a column of nerves between the brain and peripheral nervous system. Next, brainstem connects the brain to the spinal cord. Brain is divided into three major parts: the hindbrain, also known as lower part, the midbrain, and the forebrain. The peripheral nervous system is a body's link to the outside world. If the central nervous system, that is the spinal cord and the brain, has to connect or send information to all over the body, to different parts of the body, then peripheral nervous system has to make a path for that. The peripheral nervous system has two parts, that is the autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. So these are the two units inside the peripheral nervous system. The autonomic nervous system regulates involuntary bodily processes, includes heart rate, respiration, digestion, pupil contraction, operates automatically without conscious direction. Whereas the somatic nervous system carries sensory information from sensory organs to central nervous system and relays motor neurons, basically for the movement, commands to the muscles and controls voluntary movements. Autonomic nervous system to involuntary movements where we don't have any control over it, whereas the somatic nervous system is the voluntary movements. Autonomic nervous system is further classified into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for action and stress. This is called fight or flight. Whereas parasympathetic nervous system calms the body and helps the body to conserve energy. So this is the basic classification in nervous system. Let us know about our brain, the CPU, or the central processing unit of human body. The anatomy and physiology of brain. The adult human brain weighs an average of 1.4 kg or about 2% of the total body weight. Despite this relatively small mass, the brain contains approximately 100 billion neurons. Functioning as a unit, these neurons make up the most complex and highly organized structure on Earth. The brain is responsible for many of the qualities that make each individual unique in the way of his or her thoughts, feelings, emotions, talents, memories, and the ability to process information. Much of the brain is dedicated to running the body. The brain is responsible for maintaining homeostasis. So homeostasis is nothing but balancing by controlling and integrating various systems that make up the body. Human brain. Brain is organ of soft nervous tissue contained in the skull of vertebrates, functioning as a coordinating center of the body. Let us know about parts of brain. Human brain is divided into three main parts on the basis of their function and placements. The three main parts of human brain are forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain. Its position is anterior part of the brain, that is the front part of the brain. It has three major parts: cerebrum, thalamus, and limbic system. First we shall know about thalamus. The diagram shows a unit which is a thalamus unit. Position, it is located above the brainstem and between the cerebral cortex and midbrain. Its main function is it carries sensory information from the body to cerebrum and limbic system. Hypothalamus and pituitary gland. Hypothalamus. Its position, it lies under the thalamus. Function, it connects the nervous system with endocrine system via pituitary gland. Next, pituitary gland. It is a P-shaped structure. Its function is, it is very important in growth and reproduction. Limbic system. Structure. It is arc-shaped structure between thalamus and cerebrum. Its function is, it controls responses like hunger, fear, thirst, anger, and sexual responses. Cerebrum. It is divided into two halves called cerebral hemisphere. They communicate via corpus callosum. Cerebral cortex is the outer region of cerebrum. Function of cerebrum. It helps in movement, it controls speech, it is responsible for sensory processing, and it determines the intelligence of the human being. Next, coming to midbrain. As the name suggests, it is located below the cerebral cortex and above the hindbrain. Function. It controls the reflex movements of the body and hearing reflexes. Hindbrain. As the name suggests, it is present in the backside of the brain. Parts, it consists cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum. It has a Latin meaning called little brain. It is located at the backside of the head. Main function, it controls the balance of the body and coordinates the voluntary movement of the body, which movements are conscious about. So those voluntary movement of the body is controlled by cerebellum. Pons. Pons is meaning of a bridge. Position is located above medulla. Function, it controls sleep as well as the rate and pattern of breathing. Medulla oblongata. Position, it is posterior part of the brain. Function, it controls automatic actions like breathing, heart rate, swallowing, and blood circulation. Now let us know about how this enormous part called as our brain and spinal cord has been protected. The brain and spinal cord are protected by the bones of vertebral column and skull. Three connective tissue membranes that form the meninges and cerebrospinal fluid. You can see in the diagram, the bone of the skull and vertebral column are hard cases that protect the brain and spinal cord. The meninges is a liquid, or it is a part of a liquid. The meninges are three membranes that protect the brain and spinal cord. The blue color part shows the ventricles of the brain. Next is the fluid, cerebrospinal fluid. It cushions the brain and spinal cord and it detects the shock absorber. Brain protection in detail. First is skull. It protects our brain from injury or bumps. Without it, soft brain tissue would damage easily. Cerebrospinal fluid, in short CSF, fluid surrounding the brain. It acts as a shock absorber and stops our brain bumping around in our skull. Next, meninges. So meninges is nothing but a three-layer membranes of protective tissue with CSF. Between each layer also help to protect the brain and act as a shock absorber when we get a bump to the head. Next, we have to know how does nervous tissue causes action. The nervous tissue collects the information and makes decision based on the information and conveys to the muscle for action. Muscle cells do action by changing the shape when they receive nerve impulses. Muscle cells have special protein and these protein changes the shape and arrangement in response to the nerve electrical impulses. If we want to move, if we want to clap, so consciously, so if we want to do some physical activity, our brain will send, or our nervous tissue will send information to the muscle tissue so that it has to work accordingly. By this picture, we can depict how the nervous tissue is working. First, the nerves receive information from the sense organs and send it to the brain. This is the first action whenever we want to do something. Second action is the brain interprets that information and generate a reaction and order to the locomotor system, the muscle, to react. First, our sense organ has to perceive it and send the signal to the brain. Next, the brain interprets all the information to understand what has to be done and send the signal or command to the motor system, the movement system. Third, the nerve transport that order how to react to the locomotor system, that muscles. And finally, the muscles move. All these action takes place in a very minute second. A small tip for you people. Eat nourishing food. Your brain will thank you always. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and this message is for your brain. If you have any queries or questions relating to the brain or nervous tissue, kindly comment me on the comment section. Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Over the hills and